The Tommy Campbell Show. Donald Trump spent years saying, butter emails. Now he's getting sunk by emails. Emails he wants his supporters to ignore. Donald Trump's doing his best to make this go away. And even the most loyal people in his circle of stupid are turning on him, including Lauren Boebert, who signed and refused to remove her name from a discharge petition despite heavy pressure from Trump. Is this a one-off or a new Boebert, whose efforts just came in handy in a different way? The newly released 20,000 Epstein emails are the first real map of who was talking to him, how often, and what about. Donald Trump's name comes up again and again in contexts he swore never happened. But the paper trail doesn't lie, even when Trump does, and the email dump prompted a bombardment of trolling from Gavin Newsom, with Gavin not holding back, posting, wow, new signage. Island boys. Admit you're a con, support a pedophile. Trump supporters. Okay, the only thing that would make this more fun is if they animated it with insurrection fleeing Josh Hawley running by this guy to the right fork. Los Pitos Hermanos. Oh, I miss Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. That's done very well. Epstein's Island, starring Donald Trump. Gavin was right about everything. Trump shredding files in a shirt about his love for files. The internet is amazing. Putin walking Trump like a dog. Speaking of dogs, Kristi Noem's dog obedience school. She'll treat them as good as she treats brown people. Yes, Dark Newsom is back. Anyone check on these influencers this morning? Pretty big day for the issue they're most passionate about. Yes, he followed this up with a series of posts with them holding up the emails, calling out the MAGA supporters that pretended to care about the contents of the Epstein files till they realized that the guy they worshipped is the star of the show. Oh, and speaking of stars, the statue of the dozy diapered leader has returned to Washington, D.C. This time it's outside of Busboy and Poet's Books. If you're nearby, go snap a photo, grab a book. Subscribe. No matter how hard Trump tries to hide this whole thing, it's here to stay, like his tiny mushroom sores.
So they're launching a smear campaign disguised as a bombshell, the Jeffrey Epstein emails. Congress is dumping thousands of documents, and Democrats are using them to frame Trump. But we've been combing through them and can't find anything nailing Trump. Even Axios says the emails contained no real smoking gun. The files do show Epstein's deep ties to liberals.
Jesse cherry-picked a line from a large article and presented it as the headline. It wasn't. Suggested Trump's involvement is all a hoax and that there are deep ties to liberals. Now, Trump has avoided all questions, but did make a series of posts. Trump claims the Epstein email release is another Russia scam, but the emails themselves show Epstein discussing Russian diplomats' messaging channels and how he could be useful to Moscow. Epstein writes to Torbjörn Jagland, former Secretary General of the Council of Europe, about their upcoming meetings and casually drops these lines. Churkin was great. He understood Trump after our conversations. He must be seen to get something. It's that simple. Epstein tells Yalon to suggest to Putin that Sergei Lavrov can get insight on talking to me. He laments that Ambassador Vitaly Churkin used to handle communication but died. Epstein is not just gossiping. He's positioning himself as an informal conduit between Trump and top Russian diplomatic figures. A private citizen under investigation was describing access to Russian officials as if he were part of U.S. foreign strategy.
Because you're anything but. All right, so I do have a question. I tried to get an answer out of you on radio. Okay, the question is, when did you notice Joe Biden's cognitive decline? And don't change the subject and deflect. When did you really notice it?
Well, I think it was through all of the times that Donald Trump has fallen asleep in public and talked about, magnets getting wet in the last few,
oh my gosh.
My mom had dementia, so I recognize it.
Stephanie, this is not, it's a very good deflection. You're a professional.
You know what else is great
about
Biden's decline is that Trump is all over the Epstein files, and I'm wondering if they're going to release those. Are you covering that tonight?
Not really, because the woman that apparently they're talking about is the one that said he was a gentleman and never did anything wrong. And the person that had a grudge was the guy that got thrown out of Mar-a-Lago 25 years ago. And by the way, when you get thrown out of a club in Palm Beach, Florida, that's kind of a big deal. And it's very humiliating and embarrassing. And he was a convicted pedophile. So I'm not exactly putting a lot of gospel truth in what he said.
Trump was mad that he was stealing his girls, but
Oh my gosh, that is well played. 10 out of 10, no notes. I just love seeing Hannity getting owned. Fantastic strategy, Stephanie. Love it. Epstein tells Ghislaine Maxwell that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump, meaning investigators had questioned everyone except Trump about Epstein's activities. He notes a particular victim spent hours at my house with him, yet Trump's name never came up in police or legal inquiries. Epstein is surprised Trump is the only major figure not being asked about. This directly undermines Trump's attempt to distance himself from the entire operation. Clinton. Trump keeps mentioning Clinton in posts. But in one email, Epstein writes, Clinton was never on the island. This was from Epstein's own correspondence, not media spin. The emails confirm Clinton never visited the island, directly contradicting years of MAGA propaganda. But here's a weird one. In another email, Mark Epstein jokes, ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bub up. Okay. People online are debating whether it has anything to do with Forrest Gump, chewing gum, or Bill Clinton, since Bubba is his long-established nickname. Okay, whether literal or not, it's explosive because it shows Epstein's own brother linking Trump, Putin, Clinton in one breath in a tone that suggests familiarity with Trump's scandals while being ridiculed in private. And speaking of private gatherings, veteran modeling agent Faith Cates writes that Epstein was expected at Mar-a-Lago for Thanksgiving. Hey, this isn't fair. How far are we going back here? Not fair. Okay, this was in 2017. During Trump's presidency. This email completely contradicts one of Trump's core defense. I banned him from Mar-a-Lago. We had a falling out in 2004. Haven't seen him in years. This email implies Epstein was still socializing in Trump's orbit years later, long after Trump supposedly cut ties. Epstein being on a guest list at Mar-a-Lago in 2017 blows up Trump's timeline. And speaking of blowing up, the distractions have started with Pete Hegseth announcing Operation Southern Spear, which he probably came up with during his lunch, which he calls Operation Southern Comfort. This newly announced military campaign targeting narco-terrorist networks in the Caribbean and near Venezuela using U.S. Southern Command and a major naval air deployment. Officials frame it as a bold crackdown, but analysts note the mission is largely a rebrand of existing counter-narcotics operations, suspiciously timed to overshadow the Epstein email fallout and other scandals. It's a big, loud, look over here move with a name that sounds like it could be a Peter North film. I'm just saying. And Mark and Jeff slagging off Trump wasn't an isolated incident. They joke about Trump being pre-diabetic, suggest Trump and Don Jr. could remake the movie Get Hard. It even refer to him as your boy Donald and says he has not one decent cell in his body. An email between Epstein and a reporter at the New York Times offered up a photo of President Donald Trump in his kitchen with pics of bikini girls. Epstein also refers to Trump as borderline insane, effing crazy, and writes questions like early dementia in correspondence with associates. So here's a guy who thinks he's crazy and losing what's left of his mind, and he's the one eager to brief Putin on Trump's mindset. Wow.
But to have that trust for people, you've got to have very, very good instincts. And the president has an amazing ability to know when somebody's trying to get something over on him, when somebody's actually thinking about things in the best interest of the country. It's almost a supernatural ability to read human beings. And I've tried to learn as much as I can about it. And again, some of that is just his innate ability. Some of that is something that I think that you can pick up. And I've tried to pick that up as much as I can.
If Trump had such amazing instincts, he wouldn't be hiring and firing people constantly. And the only thing remotely supernatural about Trump is that he's alive and already haunting us. It's just bizarre that they talk up his instincts and energy when he can barely stay awake while his page 3 model wife is talking right next to him. He's like a baby gonna fall asleep in the food. And then gets confused showing Laura around his latest destruction.
A lot of people are wondering which child would be the best.
In a certain way, they all could. Take a look at this, fellas. You want to see detail. So like the sign. Most people would just do a sign, they paint it on the wall. So that's half-inch thick bronze, carved by a very talented person. And it's brass, it's pure brass. It's half-inch thick brass. And you can't just do that. That's, you know, you look at that, that's quality, right?
Thanks for taking her for a tour through your Home Depot spray-painted junk. He didn't need a ruler to confirm it's half-inch. But it is bronze, or is it brass? Which is it? Is it bronze or brass, or is it both? The guy has no clue about the materials in his own renovation. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Trump says he's a builder, but he hasn't laid a brick or a willing woman in his life. Now, I do know I have some stargazers in the comments, and the Northern Lights were exceptionally visible this week. If you open social media, you are probably flooded with photos of this. Maybe you posted a few on your own. Here are my favorites. Trump's a pedo. Trump smells. Trump is in the Epstein files. I love me some Aurora Borealis. Now, this has come out a lot and has been a big defense that Trump was aware of behavior involving girls and wanted it to stop. Not reported, not investigated, just stop it. Shh, just stop it. This is a huge deal, and it contradicts Trump's claim that he barely knew Maxwell or had no knowledge of Epstein's activities. The people in the inner circle believe Trump knew far more. He was the dog that hasn't barked. On Veterans Day, Donald Trump hosted Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara, a man whose rise to power ran straight through extremist militias previously labeled terrorists. It was the first visit by a Syrian leader since 1946. Trump chose Veterans Day to roll out the red carpet for someone aligned with the groups the U.S. has fought for decades, and miss him with his dump fragrance to drown out the scent. By comedy law, since Trump brought out his tacky toxic fragrance, here's the dub I did of his ad.
My new dump fragrances are here. This is a genuine eau de toilette spray because it covers the funk emitting from the big boy diapers and the pores clogged by spray tan and the Bronx Colors concealer that I use. It's Swiss, so good. We had bottles designed for nearly every member of the family, and I hope you buy them all. The Don Jr. version is scented with his favorite product and features a fully detachable novelty bill that I'm told is so easy to roll up for who knows what, or upgrade to the elite silver straw version for a great night out with your makeup lab explosion survivor girlfriend. I don't know what happened. She looks like Paul Stanley in a Bon Jovi wig. What's going on? Eric's bottle is shaped like the golden turd tongs he uses to hoist logs out of my Depends. The Ivanka bottle reflects her timeless beauty, featuring the hot bikini I got her for Mother's Day, and Ivanka's official engraved photo, so you no longer have to use your imagination when you're alone in the restroom waiting for Ronnie Jackson's special Tic Tacs to kick in. It says dump Ivanka, but I wish it said dump Kushner. Make Ivanka single again. That's what we need to do. We need to make Ivanka single again. I actually didn't know that Melania got one. Remember her? My third wife from Slovenia. It's shaped like a camera to represent that one time she was a model. The vice president that nobody wants to hang yet, they don't, maybe they will, maybe they won't, has a limited edition couch-shaped bottle and a scent that is somewhere between a wet dog, Lauren Boebert's breath, and a crusty futon. Get a stupid bottle and don't forget to get one for your cousin wife too. They'll hate you and they'll even smell gross. Collect them all so you can use them all at once to create a super scent that will hide any Musk, but not Elon. Space Karen just won't go away. He won't. Enjoy. I'm dumb.
Just so you know, I make segments like that old school, no AI. I do all the dubbing myself. It's a ton of work. If you love what I do here, please consider dropping me a PayPal tip, a super thanks. Consider being a member, grab some merch, and if you shop Amazon, use my link. It all helps this show happen.
There's no reason at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon I shouldn't be able to send out a swift wire transfer. Right now you can't. I try and make a transfer every single week, and you're trying to push before the 5 o'clock deadline to either receive money or to get it out. How is that modern day finance? You can send $500 million worth of Bitcoin on a Sunday night at 11 p.m. while having a glass of wine with your wife. for virtually zero fees.
Nothing relates to the hardworking people like saying your biggest problem is not being able to send millions in crypto over some Merlot with your Skeletor karaoke wife on the couch. A lot of people have made a lot of money with cryptocurrency, but a lot have also lost money. Some have literally lost a thumb drive or a laptop containing their life savings. I know someone this happened to. If you lose a computer containing your sole Bitcoin private key, the Bitcoin associated with that key is permanently lost and inaccessible. Unlike traditional banking, there's no central authority to recover the key or reset your password, making the funds effectively gone forever. It's dangerous, and the Trump family has made nearly $1 billion in pre-tax profit from their 60% stake in World Liberty Financial and the launch of their very shady Trump meme coin. Is this lefty fruitcake supposed to be funny? Well, I think it's funny to be called a fruitcake from the deranged lot that thinks Donald Trump cares about them and that he doesn't have dementia. Also, sposed, not a word. Quite close to spouse, though. And like intelligence, that's another thing you'll never have. MAGA-tears. The media just wants to censor Trump and hide truth. Trump is the most uncensored politician of all time. The guy drops F-bombs in the Oval Office while courting evangelicals. It's Trump that hides the truth, whether he's denying falling asleep in front of our own eyes or claiming Epstein emails are a hoax. Just so you know, censor in this context is not spelled with an S, but with the same consonant as the four-letter word that describes you. MAGA-tears. Heavy pressure from Trump. Is this a one-off or a new Boebert whose efforts just came in handy in a different way? Came in handy. This a one-off or a new Boebert whose efforts just came in handy? Hegseth announcing Operation Southern Spear, which he probably came up with during his lunch he calls Operation Southern Comfort. Hardworking people like saying your biggest problem is not being able to send millions of dollars in crypto over some Merlot. Not just gossiping, he's positioning himself as an informal conduit between Trump and top Russian diplomatic figures. A private citizen under investigation was describing access to Russian officials as this handles. It's a big, loud, look over here move with a name that sounds like it could be a Peter North film.
The Tommy Campbell Show is the best political comedy show on YouTube. And I hope you subscribe.